All right, I'm going to be showing you how to make the firing pin for the TR8 2020. You're going to need a black rod. You're going to need one of these and kind of just stick them together. That's step one. That's the easiest part. So we're going to set that aside. You're going to need some electrical tape. I've got a few different colors here, red, white, and blue, just to kind of show you the technique we're going to use to make this. You are going to need size 78 O-ring, and you're going to need some heat shrink tubing. So, and finally you're going to need a size 64 rubber band. So first thing you're going to do is grab your electrical tape, and this might be a little bit lengthy of a video because we're going to go over exactly what we should do to make these firing pins. So you're going to wrap around both the rod and the connector. I went around about 2 times. I'm going to use the scissors now to kind of flatten that down around the rod. So I'm just going to go ahead, flatten it down a little bit more. So it should look something like this right there. Take the rubber band, size 64, drape it around the rod and over the tape, like so. And you're going to simply wrap it around the front. And then I'm going to start taking the excess and wrapping it around very tightly around the connector. This is one of the trickier parts because you're going to want to make sure you get this right. Then you just take it, wrap it around the end. So it should look something like this. So you have a buffer up front that's on the rod, and then the rest is wrapped around tightly on the firing pin. Notice how it stays nice and slender. You don't want this thing getting too bulky, so you have room later on for rubber bands within the gun housing. Alright, so I'm just going to use another layer now. I'm going to go with our white layer. Same thing, just electrical tape. You're now going to wrap this. Let's go 1.5 layers. The idea here is we're just going to try to keep this all together. So 1.5 layers of the white electrical tape. And the reason I like to go in separate layers is so if there is a rip in your tape, if you have to take the tape off and redo the last layer, it won't ruin your rubber band. You should be able to go right from wherever your layer was at and remove the final layer and then redo it. So let's do 1.5 to 2 layers at the most. Again, we want to keep it kind of skinny on the outside layer there. Notice how it's still staying nice and thin. Put our tape away. And then the final thing, or the final couple steps we have here is you're going to grab some heat shrink tubing. And you're going to need some sort of heat source. A heat gun of some sort would be good. But take your electrical tape, I'm flicking you guys off, sorry. Take your electrical tape and tape it onto the heat shrink tubing so it ends up being the same width as your tape. So you can see how I taped it on there. And we're just going to go ahead and cut that. So that way our heat shrink tubing ends up being the same width as your electrical tape. So you can see here I cut a piece. Go ahead and remove your tape. And now your heat shrink tubing is cut nice and even. And what you're going to do is kind of take that and put it right over top. Just like so. And then from there you just heat shrink it on. So let me go grab my heat shrink gun. Give me 1 second. Plug it in real fast. All right. So now I just want to be careful that we don't heat this up too fast. Continue to turn your firing pin so it shrinks evenly. If you happen to overheat it, the rubber band tends to want to get too excited basically, and it'll pop right off, and all your hard work will have gone through nothing. So once it looks like it's on there and it's starting to form, remove your heat source, store it safely. Yeah, it's really hot. All right, so we're gonna let that cool. But your finished firing pins should look just like that. The very last step is to grab your size 78 O-ring. And we're just going to take one of these and put it right over the front of your firing pin. Slide it all the way down. And this now will be the very front buffer. So what you have now is the O-ring, your rubber band, and all that electrical tape, and then a final layer of heat shrink tubing, which kind of seals it all together and keeps it from wanting to split. So if you do it correctly, basically it shouldn't be too long. You want it nice and compact. You don't want it extending any further forward than that one rubber band forward. And under tension, this will all shrink. It'll kind of compact together, which is what you want in order for it to work correctly with your new K'NEX gun. So if you do it correctly, the rod itself will wear out faster than the portion you made on the back, the pin portion. So hopefully that helps you all make the firing pin if you do decide to go ahead and make the TR8 2018. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.